Hello, my friends. Welcome to a brand new Realm News. I am your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. How are y'all doing today? I hope you're all having a great week so far. Today, we have a great episode and a first. I will be comparing two polls together. Around October or November of 2024, I made a poll asking how everyone enjoyed the new bundle that was just released. Well, I did the same, but a little over a year later, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to cross-compare the Minecraft community's sentiments on the bundle over a course of a year. So, today, you will be getting an ultra poll time. The latest poll had 306 votes, so it was quite popular, my friends. You will not want to miss these results and comments, so let's get this going. So, this is poll time, and I have not done one of these for a while, a poll time, because I've been having so many great guests on the show. And when I have guests on the show, I don't typically have a poll time incorporated in that, but today I do, and I just want to remind everybody, if you want to get Realm News flashes and other perks that you can't find where you listen to podcasts, then join the Realm News Patreon at patreon.com/Realm News. There is a free tier and copper tier there. I just want to throw that out there. Now, real quick to remind people, I just want to go ahead and now just move into poll time, where we are doing a cross comparison today with a poll I made over the bundle in 2024 to a poll I made over the bundle at the very end of 2025. I would say probably the last week of 2025 in December. So, yeah, it was about a year and some change after the bundle was released officially into Bedrock, and we had some good amount of time to play around with all that. But for those who do not remember or are new to Minecraft, the bundle officially made its way into Minecraft on October 22nd, 2024 for the Bundles of Bravery drop. Well, I don't think it was a drop, but if you are interested in more about the bundle and the real life history of the bundle, then go check out Realm News' episode titled Bundles and Otzi the Iceman. Now, I would like to start with last year's poll, if you don't mind, made around January 2025, a few months after its release. Allow me to read what I had wrote as the body of the poll. Quote, Bundles of Bravery released on October 22nd this year. I think enough time has passed for people to give a fair assessment of what they think of them so far. So here's a simple poll. Just a yes or no. Not an in-between today. I want to know if you like the bundle or not. Write your thoughts and what you think about them too. I would love to hear them, end quote. Yes, that's what I wrote on the poll, folks. Excuse me, some in my throat. I apologize for that. And we're also going to hear a ton of comments on this. We're going to hear a bunch today. Most of the show is just comments. So last year's poll had a total of 54 votes altogether. I just want to go ahead and tell you that right now. And this year's poll got 306 total votes, people. Oh my gosh. It just blows my mind every time I say that. It's a Realm News record by a long, long ways. Allow me to read the results to the 2025 poll. Well, hang on, I'm sorry. The 2024 poll. I have my notes mixed up here. The loser that year, with a measly total of 5 votes, is the No Group, earning only 9.2% of the votes. Not even crossing the 10-point mark. So sad, but I am personally happy to see it. I thought the bundles were amazing back then, and my opinion has only grown stronger since. The winner, otherwise known as the Yes Group, received 49 votes, or 90.8% of the pie. You all know me by now, and if you don't, then you should know that I love to see items get used and appreciated. So, You can imagine how thrilled I was to see this landslide win by the Yes group. Now that we have covered the first poll results over the bundle after its initial release, I would like to now read off some comments left from that poll. I shall start with Charmanderis Cool 9000, who says, quote, I use them a fair bit to shuffle around items since I'm horrible with inventory management. End quote. I'm the same way, my friend, and that is why I love the bundles so much too. I use them all the time, my friends, and yeah, they're just great. Anyways, let's move on to the next comment. GuiGeek123 says, quote, I think it's pretty neat, but as soon as I set up my base, they won't be of any use for me, end quote. I wonder why they won't be any of use, I asked myself after reading this comment. Maybe they go into chess mode and don't leave the general area of where they have their main base. I love the bundles for traveling. I travel a lot in my kingdom or empire of Ambadieu. It's what I do. I set up a new colony. I explore that area. I move on to the next area, set up a new place, a new colony, and so forth. So I just wonder, I should have wrote back to him, even though this is a 2024 poll I created. Who knows if they even are around. But I should have wrote back to him and asked why exactly, why they wouldn't be of use. Anyways, moving on. Let's move on to somebody who goes by Fizzy163, who has a good long comment here. Quote, I'm playing 1.20 or 1.20.6 with bundles and a fabric mod that adds the scroll feature from 1.21.2. They're incredible. Mojang was right when they said this was a solution to inventory management. The fact that you can put bundles inside bundles means that you can even carry around up to 9 bundles in a single inventory slot. They allow you to carry so much more than before they were added, and even once you're at shulker box stage, they don't get invalidated since they can still free up shulker storage, assuming you're a casual player and not the kind of person that has dozens of shulkers filled with stacks of the same items. Anyone that says that bundles aren't useful are probably complaining about how they can't put non-stackable items in them, which would completely invalidate the shulker box and completely wreck the balance of the game, end quote. Great points, my friend. And it makes sense to me why we can't put non-stackables in the bundle. They're typically huge items that realistically wouldn't fit in a bundle. I mean, it makes sense why we can't fit a sword in that large or in a sack, you know? It just makes sense to me. Or a boat, like putting a boat in a bundle, that doesn't make much sense. However, the shears should go in a bundle. That's something I will argue against, because unless these are like giant shears, I don't know what kind of shears Minecraft's dealing with here. Like, are these like hedge shears, like two-handed ones? Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, they must be. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. Anyways, great points, my friend. I really did love that. And it makes sense to me, again, why we can't put non-stackables in there. And I love the nesting, too. I believe that's the proper term for what you mentioned. You said that putting the 9 bundles in a single inventory slot, I believe they call a bundle and a bundle nesting. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. Not to say that's, I'm pretty sure that's right. Anyways, moving on here. Thank you again for that comment. I want to go on to the next person, who goes by UnoGasai_simp, who says, quote, I've not played much with the final release of them, but they still have a lot of the same issues as the old ones, in my opinion. Only being able to fit a stack just isn't all that useful, because I collect stacks of the same item at a time, and I just don't really see a use for them. End quote. Thank you, Unikasai_simp, for that comment. It's nice to hear that the more critical comments out there towards the bundle. Just get a different perspective, you know what I mean? I'm always going to use a bundle just because they're economically friendly, and you can color code them, so it makes them easy to organize things. There's a lot of uses for the bundle, in my opinion. Granted, I've never had a shulker box, folks. I've never gone to the end yet. I need to. Once I do, I think I'll make that an entire video episode streamed from my Twitch, which will be really cool. And I'll post that on all my medias. Anyways, Unai Kasai_simp. Merci beaucoup, mon ami, for that amazing comment. That brings me to the next poll. The December 2025 poll, like I mentioned earlier. So let's move on to that, folks. We are now on the second bundle poll that I had conducted back December 2025. Hence the title of this, The Tale of Two Bundles. So, poll, obviously. This poll had a remarkable outcome, like I said, at the voting booth. It was, in total, 306 people casted their votes on this statement I'm about to read. Quote, "My friends, I have a follow-up poll to one I posted a year ago. I'm curious if you still use the bundle. The bundle has been out in Bedrock for a little over a year now. For myself, I love them. I always carry at least 2 on me. I find that they truly free up inventory space. What are your thoughts? And don't forget to take the poll." End quote. And a lot of people did, obviously. They didn't forget. Pretty straightforward questions, though, right? The poll on this one was a little bit different, though, than the 2024 poll that I provided. If you remember, my 2024 poll was quite binary with the yes and no options. Well, the end of December 2025, I provided 3 options. So I'm sorry about that. It may be a little bit skewed since I offered. Just let me read them off, and we'll go from there. Here's the first option. I use bundles. Here's the second option that, I added as addition as opposed to the 2024 one. And it is, I occasionally use bundles. And the third option, I don't use bundles. I know. I don't know why I didn't replicate the poll options. I don't know why. I've been doing this so long, that was an amateur move. However, it is what it is, and it will at least give us a more detailed view, regardless. It'll just give us a more detailed view on the Minecraft community's sentiments on the bundle. Now, let's start with the loser here. Let me get a drink of water first, though. Okay. So, we're going ahead and we're going to start with the loser on this poll. And coming in third place with 21.8% of the pie, or 67 votes out of the 306, is the I occasionally use bundles group. Came third. Oh my gosh. Which kind of caught me off guard, if I'm to be honest, folks. I was expecting the I don't use them group to be last place. Perhaps that was my personal hope coming through. I know I'm a little biased. You know me. I want to see all items get use. They are put in the game for a reason. They need their usage. I mean, I hate to see that they don't, but let's keep listening here. Let's move on to the second place winner in this poll today, who earned 26.7% of the votes, or 82 in total votes. And I'm talking about the I don't use them group. Yeah, let's just So the third place was 21.8%, and this is 26.7. So roughly a 5% increase. What, 5 point whatever, 9%. Well, I'm off. My math's bad on fly. Anyways, I'm talking about. Let's go back here. The I don't use them group who came in second place, and I don't really have a great reason in my head why. I imagine these people maybe they're using shulker boxes. I don't have these myself, and that may be why I rely on bundles so heavily. However, from what I've found online, which none of I read were reputable sources, but they all said that around 10% of Minecraft players make it to the end, which blows my mind. The math was all from Reddit. I just want to tell you where I got the sources. Like I said, they weren't reputable sources. These were all calculations by avid Minecraft fans. I could tell they did their best. I tried to do the math myself, and I was like, I don't know if this computes, but actually, I don't know if I have links for it. I think it'll be in the show description whenever I post that publicly and on Patreon, but you guys go check that out. Because they just throw out the numbers, but they don't back it with anything, and I don't like that. So that's why I say it's not reputable. It's like, okay, well, you can say that. I even tried going on Minecraft.net to find what they kind of referred to. Anyways, I just couldn't find it. Regardless, so perhaps shulker boxes, that's what I was saying, those aren't the sole cause of why this group doesn't use bundles after reading that, because if only 10% Minecraft players, because you have to visit the end in order to get shulker boxes from what I know. And if only 10% go, anyways, let's read the rest of this poll, and maybe you guys can do the math and figure that out for yourselves. Perhaps there'll be some insights in the comments as well when I read them. But first, let me read off the winner's results, which is the I Still Use Them group, which I fall in that. This group earned 157 votes out of the 306 in this poll, which is an overwhelming amount, folks. That equals to be 51.3% of the total votes, just slightly over half the people, which is double the second place group. So I'm content with this result. If you add in the people who use the bundle sometimes, like this occasional group who had 21.8% of the votes with this one, that comes to around 73% of people who use and occasionally use the bundle, which makes it an overwhelming amount of players who would be utilizing them if you want to lump those together, just the sometimes with the people that use it. But yeah, this is just great to know in my opinion. I love seeing these results, especially with such a great big pool of people. It gives me a more accurate read and feel to the sentiments. Anyways, let's get into the fun in this. And first off, though, write into me at realmnews247@gmail.com and let me know who you voted for. Now that we know the numbers from the poll, I want to get a more visceral feel of it by reading off these comments. And I'm going to start off this one with a long one, but a very good comment posted by someone named _Margaret Thatcher, which meant refresh. You're listening right now. You read their comment and you agreed with Margaret Thatcher. So anyways, let's read this. And it is a long one, folks. Quote, my hot take is that bundles are actually the proper solution to a dimension of the inventory problem, though perhaps not a total solution to the inventory problem as a whole. See, people who use backpack mods don't really like to admit this, but outside of mods like 8E2 or digital storage like Ender.io, backpack mods don't actually solve the problem that exists in vanilla Minecraft. It just scales up the inventory until the problem is manageable in a modded world. You still just dump items into the backpack until it is full, and then you lug around a backpack that's 90% full until it annoys you enough to dump it into a bunch of chests. Then your backpack has an acceptable amount of space for like 30 minutes until the problem starts up again. The problem is that there are a billion items that you want to recover and carry to permanent storage, but don't need to have right this second. So you have a conflict between your active inventory, where all your stuff you need to have and access is, and bulk carrying capacity, which is split between true bulk carrying capacity, i.e., carrying 20 stacks of stone, and item type capacity, i.e., carrying 20 different varieties of stone. True bulk carrying capacity has been a solved problem since the addition of shulker boxes, but the remaining problem has been all the single items that would occupy your entire inventory if not for some kind of inventory expansion. Also, as an observation, in vanilla Minecraft, it is rarely necessary to carry truly bulk volumes of items until past the point where you could have killed the Ender Dragon. Bundles solve this problem by making it so the player can reserve a section of their active inventory for carrying miscellaneous items. Now, those billion items can be compressed into one slot, so long as you don't need to immediately use them. The only remaining problem, in my eyes, is that it's still difficult to preserve empty space in the inventory, so any space you maintain inevitably gets cluttered with random items again. To solve this, I would add an inventory button that locks inventory and prevents items from entering it, or at least entering empty slots. Perhaps right-clicking on item entities while this is active would make them be picked up. End quote. Woo! Let me get a drink of water, folks. Now, that was a great comment, but a long one. This was a very fascinating post, in my opinion. They made some great points in why the bundle's handy to have. The shulker already solves the quote-unquote true bulk carrying capacity problem, I suppose. And yes, the bundle is a great item to help store all those random items that you inevitably will pick up on your travels. I always keep, myself, the Dark Lord. Yes, 2 to 3 bundles with me on my hand inventory. I also really enjoyed their lock empty inventory slots idea. I think is brilliant. I've never heard of anything like that before, and it was just clever. I don't know. Have you guys heard of that before? Because I thought it was very, I think that would be nice because I get so sick of picking up rotten flesh all the time, and I don't care if you can trade for it. I just don't want it. Also, eggs. I come across those all the time too. I don't want those. I have a lava pit where I toss them in Seatown. It's my own version of a trash compactor by Omdi Industries. Anyways, I'm going off tangent there, as I like to do. But I just love the locking inventory slot. I don't know how that would be achieved, but it's just a good thought. Thank you, Margaret Thatcher for that lovely comment. Now let's move on to our next commenter, who goes by Dronko_fire_blaster. Quote, I was playing on a mod pack I put together and went through the effort to enable them after making the world and backporting the new recipe. End quote. I asked if they enjoyed the bundle, and they replied, quote, I did. They were very useful, end quote. That was more of what I was looking for, because I don't know anything about backporting and stuff like that, but very interesting. I'm glad they found it useful, and I agree, and I'm glad that they're getting use out of the bundle. Now, our next commenter is no stranger to the show, although they haven't left a comment for an awfully long time. I was thrilled to receive one from them for this poll. They go by apprehensive_hat 8986, who says, quote, for the couple of times I've played new Minecraft, I've used them. but we still haven't moved our home world up from 1.16.5. So I put down no, since they aren't available in my regular world. I think I like them though. They seem a good balance between carrying capacity and just discarding the idea of limits at all. End quote. As always, thank you, buddy, for that amazing comment. I always feel well informed after hearing what you have to say. I'm just glad you like them. I'm sure you would love the bundle once you get that world upgraded. I know you've been hanging around 1.16.5 for at least the 2 years I've been running this show. Anyways, great to hear from you. Let's move on to the next commenter, who goes by acrobatic-ad-5530, who says, quote, I recommend using it if you are the type of player to play like a nomad, or if you want to hoard items you can't easily get a full stack of. End quote. Nice. See, everybody's recommending using it because I'm kind of a nomad, the Dark Lord. I build a town, and then I venture out another couple thousand, maybe 1,000. Sometimes it's just in increments of 500. Then I build another town, connect a railroad to it, explore out another whatever, and do the same thing over and over and over. And that's why I have like 60 towns. And so, yeah, I'm a nomad conqueror, and I fully can get behind that comment, acrobatic-ad-5530. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next person here. Crafting 457400 says, quote, I always use bundles. They are perfect for holding something like a crafting table, some mob loot, compasses, furnace. It's cool. End quote. Yes, 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 and yes. I agree with you. I love the bundles crafting. I'm just going to go by crafting because that's a long number. I just love them. And I forget about you can store things like a crafting table in there. And I just said something about like bulk items. I would think a crafting table would be a bulk item, but I'm actually grateful that we can store those in bundles because I always forget that. But when I do remember, it's just handy because if you are like exploring, sometimes it's good to always just have like a crafting table. And sometimes you just don't want to leave a random crafting table in the middle of, I don't know, nowhere. And so I'll break it. So it's nice to just throw in your bundle. So I do appreciate that. And I always forget about the compasses too. It's something I've started getting starting to get into back in 2025 or towards the end of 2025 was using the lodestone with the compass and marking places like that. And I had an idea of making a bunch of different compasses for like guests to navigate around, like a directory wall type thing. Anyways, yeah, I thought that was a great comment. Thanks a lot. And I forget about furnaces can go in there too. Yeah, you can store a lot of good things in bundles. Anyways, moving on to the next commenter who goes by Internetic MDA says, quote, I have a bundle with a compass, crafting bench, water bottle, some lodestones on me at all times. And when exploring, I always carry extras for random finds on the way. Several of my chests have bundled items as well. Spares, stairs/slabs in a chest on an active build site, a valuables bundle, etc. End quote. That was a good comment. Crafting bench, of course, like we just discussed. Water bottle. Sure, why not? I have a couple honey bottles in mine just for, I just like having the honey bottles with me. Anyways, and the lodestones, that's a good idea. Compass is a great idea. And I mentioned the nesting earlier because the nesting, I think, is a technical term for a bundle. A bundle, kind of like those Russian doll egg things. Anyways, I always carry a couple like extras on me too a lot of the time. And it's just great to like store like things like when you're running around. I like to pick flowers when I come across them because sometimes it's rare to find a certain color. And that's great to throw in a bundle. Just a lot of random things. I remember one episode, and I know this has gone up dramatically since this because this was like my first year. But I think I reported there was like 1,600 and some total items in Minecraft. I'm assuming we're probably close to, I don't know, probably 1,700 now. Anyways, maybe more. I'm not going. I'll look into that later. Thank you, Internetic MDA. Thank you so much for that comment. Let's move on to the next comment. Here goes by Ario21122, who says, quote, when I'm going on a long journey, I usually take about 6, end quote. Now, that's a lot of bundles, folks. I usually carry 2 to 3, maybe 1 in a bundle, like I said, 1 to 2 in a bundle, like nesting. But a lot of time, I carry 1 or 2, and I find that quite sufficient. 3, I've done 3. But yeah, I don't know. 1 or 2 I found to be a happy. I should do a poll over how many bundles you carry next. I would be curious to know how many bundles people carry. Actually, I'd be curious to know what people carry in general. I wonder what the most carried item is. I might have to get into that. Like the most carried 5 items. I don't know. I'll have to come up with something. Thank you so much for that comment. Let's move on to the next person. Confident_Rod_9717 says, quote, honestly, I love them. One of the best additions of late, to be honest. They're super cheap and not too powerful. I'm skeptical Mojang thinks they've completely solved the inventory problem, which still needs work, in my opinion. But for the moment, they're great. Only thing is not being able to see all the contents at once and having to actually dig around in them to find the stuff at the bottom of the bag. When they were first in snapshots, you could see all 64 slots, and I still don't know why they changed that. I don't know how they work on Bedrock, especially with controller/touch, but at least on Java, they're quite easy to use, except for accidentally dropping stuff into them when moving stuff around the inventory. End quote. Great points. And actually, that's something I've complained about in my own head is maybe they were trying to be real. Maybe like, oh, I have to dig around my bag to find this. But I hate that. I wish it would just show me everything in my bag like all at once, just like when you open up a chest. Just show me them all. Just show me it all. Show me the money. But no, show me my items, you know? Yeah, I agree with you. Full on. I don't. It's a lot easier to navigate the bundle on a controller than it is a touch screen. I'll tell you that. Being a guy that went from a tablet to a PS4. So, anyways, I love the bundles, but that is a legit complaint of mine as well. Thank you a lot, Confident_Rod_9717. Moving on to Impious, who says, quote, yes, absolute game changer. I love them. Previously, so much stuff would end up just left behind in random chests because it wouldn't fit in the inventory. I still love the exploring element of the game, no matter how far I get on any one world. Yes, there are shulkers, but even then I find bundles massively useful for mopping up all the odds and ends you come across. I've generally always got a bundle of 4 bundles in my inventory and keep another bundle of bundles in my ender chest. Trying to get something specific out can be a bit of a pain if you have loads of single items in there. But I tend to put things I'm likely to want to actually use while out and about in one bundle, and stuff I'm just stashing for home in another. It makes turning things into blocks much more frequently useful as well. Without bundles, if you have collected, say, 100 iron ingots, that's going to take up 2 inventory slots. Turn 99 of them into blocks, and you've still got 2 slots taken up. The 11 blocks and 1 ingot. With a bundle, you can put the 11 plus 1 into a bundle and still have space for loads more. See also lapis, redstone ores, etc. You can now fit 100 each of iron, lapis, redstone, gold, and diamonds into one bundle with a bit of space left over, instead of that taking up 10 slots. Even with shulkers, that's only taking 1 spot in your shulker rather than 10, end quote. My gosh, that was a great... I think that was the first time I read that one. I don't know how I missed that. I must have just copied and pasted. Sorry, Impious, but my gosh, I really got enjoyment out of that comment. I never thought about... I mean, I knew that like turning ores and other Minecraft natural elements into blocks can fit in bundles, but I didn't ever do the math like that. And that just makes a great point. And I imagine using those as an organizing method in addition with the shulker box is just very handy. And in my head, I'm just thinking that seems like a complementary thing. I think you made some great points there, and I think the audience is going to love that. Thank you so much, Impious. Great comment. And honestly, that was my last comment on this poll. I had a lot more, but I wasn't going to read them all. Sorry. I could probably make another episode just reading more comments from that. The links are all going to be in the show description. I'm not done yet with this episode. I want to do a cross comparison of the 2024 poll and 2025 just as a recap. Kind of break it down a wee bit more. And we're just going to wrap up this episode of Realm News and just move on to this finale cross comparison of the 2 bundles poll. Let's dive deep into the data and sentiments to see just how opinions have evolved over the course of a year, folks. And let's just recap here. Like the poll participation. The 2024 poll was 54 votes altogether. 2025 into December, 306 votes. A Realm News record by a long ways. I need to go find the last record. I'm going to say like 170. So yeah, blew it out of the water. The substantial increase in participation highlights growing interest in the topic and perhaps the bundle itself. The search suggests that the community has become more engaged with the bundle's utility, or at least more passionate about discussing it, I think. Let's look at these poll results again. 2024 poll. The yes, remember now, this was a binary one, the yes and no options. The yes group got 90.8% or 49 votes. The no group, 9.2% or 5 votes. The 2025 poll, remember, 3 options. The I use bundles received 51.3%, which came to 157 votes. The I occasionally use bundles came to 21.8% or 67 votes. And the I don't use bundles came to 26.7% votes, or 7%, 82 votes. While the 2024 poll showcased overwhelming enthusiasm for the bundle shortly after its release, the 2026 poll paints a more nuanced picture. Although the majority still actively use bundles, the percentage has dipped from the initial 90.8% down to 51.3%. However, when combining regular and occasional users, we see that 73.1% of respondents still derive value from bundles, which is a strong majority. And also, we have to keep in consideration there was a bigger pool here, so maybe it portrayed a more accurate portrayal of player sentiments. And just throwing that out there. Polls can be swayed many different ways, many different factors. So I just want to throw that out there just to be a little bit more accurate. But when you do combine the two, it comes to 73.1% in that 2025 with the the people that utilize it, and the occasional users. So I thought that was fascinating. Still, that is a dip from the 90.8% from the initial poll a year prior. So I don't know. Maybe this thing smoothed out. People lost some interest. I think there's a lot of reasons, but I thought that was interesting to see that dip. Key insights here that I want to go back over: the initial hype versus long-term use. The 2025 data reflects the honeymoon phase, where excitement about the new feature was at its peak. The 2024 data. And by 2025, as players integrated bundles into their regular gameplay, opinions diversified. Some found lasting value, while others realized they preferred alternative inventory management methods. Now let's talk about the utility for different playstyles. Like comments like, quote, "I recommend using it if you are the type of player to play like a nomad," by Acrobatic Ad 5530. And "I always carry at least 2 on me," by Intermedic MDA. This highlights that bundles serve specific playstyles more effectively, especially for explorers and nomadic players. And then we have the shulker box influence, who many non-users likely rely on shulker boxes, as suggested by the comment from apprehensive_hat8986, who notes, quote, "They seem a good balance between carrying capacity and just discarding the idea of limits at all," end quote. This indicates that bundles complement rather than replace existing inventory solutions. And here's some notable quotes I found. Quote, "Bundles are actually the proper solution to a dimension of the inventory problem, though perhaps not a total solution," end quote. That was from _Margaret Thatcher. And then this one, quote, "Yes, absolute game changer. I love them," end quote. That was Impious. Funny enough, those were our 2 longest commenters. And then third quote, "Only being able to fit a stack just isn't all that useful because I collect stacks of the same item at a time," end quote. And that was our more critic, Gassé_simp. In conclusion, the bundle's journey from its 2024 debut to its current standing, today reflects a natural evolution of player perception. While initial enthusiasm has mellowed some, bundles have secured their place as a versatile tool, cherished by a significant majority of players. Their role may vary depending on individual playstyles, but their contribution to inventory management remains undeniable. Thank you for all tuning in to this special Realm News episode. Until next time, keep crafting, exploring, and expanding your mind, one block at a time. The Dark Lord. Signing out. Hey, Realm News fans, it's your host, the Dark Lord, the one who puts the real in Realm and expands your mind one block at a time. I am here to tell you that your support means everything. Spread the word by telling friends, liking, and commenting on Spotify or Good Pods. Find me on X, Blue Sky, Reddit, or via email at bio.link/Realm News. For more content, join my Patreon at the Copper tier for early episodes, bonus content, and newsletters. Find out more at bio.link/Realm News. No pressure though. Just keep listening, liking, and sharing. That's more than enough. Happy crafting, and see you at the next Realm News.